Thank you for joining me at today's presentation. Today we're going to be covering Chapter 1 in my book titled Committing to Living Within Your Means. Please take a second or two to read the quote at the bottom of this page. I start out each of my chapters with a quote, famous quote, as it relates to that chapter of the book. Okay, so the question that we address, one of the questions we address in Chapter 1 is, are you saving 10% or more of your gross income? If your answer to that is no, then clearly you're not doing a good enough job to save towards financial independence. The next question we cover is, do you have sufficient cash set aside in case of an emergency? We all need to have a cash reserve of one form or another. If you don't, you need to make that a priority as well. In the world of finance, we always have competing goals that we have to deal with. So, for example, becoming financially independent has to do with one day being able to retire and no longer work. That's a very common goal for most people, one day not to have to worry about finances and live a comfortable retirement. Unfortunately, many issues come up along the way which prevent us from getting there as early as we want. For example, saving to buy a home, saving to get married, eventually having children, then raising those children, putting them through college. Life is definitely a give and take, and it's not as simple as you would think. So being able to balance your goal of becoming financially independent with all the other lifestyle goals you need to make is very important. Okay, one of the important questions we have to answer in this chapter is, what do you consider to be the American dream? And the truth of the matter is, the definition of the American dream has really changed over the last century or so. Originally, people considered the American dream just being able to put a roof over their head, live a modest lifestyle, making sure you could turn the electric on at home and you have basic fresh water to drink at the end of the day. So our goals as far as what the American dream is has changed over the years. Problem is that way too many people have put that to be a very, very high goal in their life, and they end up living a lot larger than they need to. Remember, most important and most basic thing we have to focus on is living within our means. If we're able to do that, then we can accumulate wealth. But if you're living far beyond your means, you're never going to get there, simply because by definition, you're going to end up putting yourself more into debt. So I would ask each of you to revisit what your life goals are and to be reasonable about what and how you define the American dream. So what are the essentials in achieving this? Well, the essential steps include, number one, paying yourself first. So when you budget yourself as far as how big of a house you're going to own, what type of apartment you're going to rent, what type of car you're going to drive, you have to ask yourself, first, I want to set aside 10% or more of my income every single year. After you do that, then you can start determining all of your other line items. You have to be able to distinguish between what your needs and your wants are. Of course, we all want big, expensive things, elaborate vacation and fancy cars, but do we really need them? The answer is no. So being able to know the difference between your needs and your wants is critical to achieving financial independence. In my book, I have an appendix called Appendix B. In Appendix B, I cover some basic strategies of saving just $20 per week. And you ask, what is $20 a week going to do for me? Well, the truth is, $20 a week over time will add up to significant money. $20 a day, of course, will add up even to more. So through the power of compounding, I'll show you through this example how much money you could accumulate over time just by setting aside as little as $20 a week. So let's go through a few examples. If you tucked away $20 into a savings account every week, at the end of the year, you would end up with $1,040. Now let's assume for 30 years, you took that $1,040 and put that money away. At the age of 65, right? Assuming you started at age 30 and you did this for 35 years, at the age of 65, assuming you earned 8% return, you'd end up with about $179,000. Now, if you manage to find a way to save just $20 per day, that would accumulate to $7,300 per year. Over that 35-year period, that $20 a day in savings would accumulate to $1,257,000. So when someone says, I'll never become a millionaire, they're basically using self-defeating terms. Every one of you have the ability not only to become a millionaire, but to become a multimillionaire. But the way you start that is one day at a time, saving, putting money aside every single day of your life. And the temptations will be there to spend every penny you earn every week, but you have to be better than that and stronger than that, because without that, you're not going to be able to achieve your financial goals. So, quick action plan for living within your means that I want each of you to follow. And I encourage you to read through this chapter of my book because I give some terrific examples that you could put into place for yourself. Number one, you need to make a serious commitment to living within your means. Number two, pay yourself first. Consider paying yourself first, saving for the future, your number one expense, and then after that, that's what should dictate your lifestyle. Open a savings account. Make it a commitment to save that 10% or more of your gross pay. Keep sufficient cash available in case of an emergency fund. If you have savings, if you're saving money for a special purpose, add that to your budget. So don't just save that 10% towards point X, but now let's create a new budget item that you're going to set aside so that you can meet that other goal, whether it's saving money for down payment on a home, paying for a child's wedding down the road, whatever it may be. Treat that as a separate line item. And of course, step number one is reading through my relevant chapters in my book, but also you need to complete the comprehensive wealth management questionnaire. In the introduction section of my book, I have that questionnaire there. I encourage each of you go through those 20 questions, then address the topics that are most important to you at this stage of your life in my book. And that questionnaire will tell you exactly what chapter to go to achieve that.